Good morning everyone and welcome to the new Asian talk show. I'm your host, Shintanke Shitonegan Dontan Tegrat Honda. But people call me Bob. So, today I'm gonna introduce you to the Pan's Labyrinth crew. And as you know, Pan's Labyrinth is such a sensational movie. Now, today we're gonna ask some questions to the crew and what were their ideas while doing the movie. So let us go. So we are here with our first guest of the day. His name is Del Toro and he's a very brilliant director. Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. So Del Toro, if you don't mind, could you tell me why did you use so much graphic violence in the film? Was it really necessary? Of course, violence in the movie was needed. It was to show how cruel people were during the war, when there was a class difference between the people. By showing graphic violence, it gives people a taste of what war was like. Sad, bitter, and cruel. As we know, Spain during the time was controlled by the fascist people, and the fascists usually used violence to control the people because it instilled fear in them. As we could see, Captain Vidal from the video, after capturing the two men, he actually pounded the man with a bottle right in front of his father. It really shows how much the power difference between them, as he couldn't feel anything. He had no mercy. He feels that he is above them and that they are just insignificant people. Even though they are innocent, he feels no remorse for them. Oh, okay, that was very insightful. So how about Mercedes? How was the act of violence in her represent? Well, Mercedes' act of violence in the movie was more of an act of coping with her anger with Vidal. As we know, that Captain Vidal was the arch nemesis of the communists, what her brother believed in. And as we could see that Captain Vidal often verbally abused. So that act of violence was actually her getting her revenge on him, as she could have easily killed her, but instead she kind of silenced him by slicing open his mouth, right, to kind of cope with the anger and oppression that was dealt to her. Oh, alright. So was there any other deeper meaning for this graphic violence, reality and all that? Yes. I'm surprised that you actually caught that. The use of violence was actually to show the relationship it had with reality, showing how reality could be cruel and how your imagination could bring you for adventures. As we can see that whenever something very violent happened, Ophelia was actually off on an adventure, right? So yeah, that's most of what I thought about. So as we know, Del Toro is also the scriptwriter, and did you lose weight?
Yes, I did actually. I mean, I've lost 40 pounds and I got diabetes.
Oh, interesting. So another question for you is that the movie incorporates elements of magical realism. So what research did you do to incorporate it?
Okay, first of all, I want you to know that actually everything in the movie is something that I wrote on my notebook and I created in my mind, which I haven't actually write down the script. I wrote down the script at the last part after I finished creating every scene in the film. So the first research that I have to do is to know more about the realism and formalism, because this story is about the real life and also the fantasy life in Ovida's imagination, right? Yeah, so like the first thing I had to do was to do a lot of research about the myth, the Greek and Roman goddess, about the children's book, children's story and everything. I read many and many of fairy tales books. So I've come to the conclusion that in magical world, how do I say this? in magical world there are elements where you can just find all the circles and the round shape, and also the characters the magical characters like Fawn and the Pale Man was inspired by the Greek myth, the Fawn. The Greek myth is actually the Davis Pan, which is half god and half good. While I got inspired for the Pale Man from a painting is called Saturn devouring his son. Yeah. And then I have to do a bit of research about the history of the Spanish Civil War. Like you can see at the beginning of the movie where there's a soldier giving the bread out to the people, right? Yeah, that's exactly what happened in real world. Like they gave out the bread so that they can tell people that if they give up, they'll give them food, they'll supply them. So if you look at the movie, the last scene, you can see that Ophelia's had passed the quest, right? The third quest?
Yes.
Yeah. So like if you look at the background of it, you can see there's like elements of circles, and also the background is, the structure of the objects is very circle and it has that round shape. And you can see that the color of the scene is very golden grey. It has that shiny look at it. So if you look at that scene, you can know that it's a fantasy because it looks like it makes us feel alive. But if you look at the real world, it's very straight, very diagonal, and it has that color palette that is dark, cold, and grey. Like in the movie, where the captain locked Ophelia in a room, right? Did you remember the room?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you can see the structure is very straight, right? There's a square everywhere, and even the bed are straight lines. And then you can see the environment of it, the atmosphere of it was very cold, and it's like the color of it is just blue plus grey, which makes you feel insecure.
Alright, so thank you, Dr. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Now let us move on to our next cast. Alright, and now we are on to our last interview. We are going to be interviewing the lovely actress Cherry, who did Ophelia in the movie. Harry, very nice to meet you.
Hi.
Alright, so Cherry, a question that the viewers would want to know is that is the portrayal of Ophelia in the movie realistic?
I think Ophelia's character combines realistic and magical because she has her own feelings and emotions, behaviors like normal human. And for example, when she first sees the captain, she feels scared and refuses to call him father. And when she sees her mother give birth and died, she feels very helpless and lonely in the new house with Captain. And then that's why I think she's a real character, which she's behaved like normal human beings, and she cares about her brothers and family. But also I think she's a magical character because she can see different things that normal human being cannot see. Like she's the only person can see the phone. In the scenes when she's talking to the phone in the movie, Captain Rita cannot see anything except Ophelia and her brother. And also no one can see the Pale Man and the giant toad. Just Ophelia can see them. But people can see the magic root from the phone and the chalk which Ophelia using to draw the doors. So that's why I think she's combines, her character combines realistic and magical.
So, does Ophelia act her age in the movie?
I think Ophelia does not really behave in a way that is typical of a girl her age. Because Ophelia still reads the fairy tales, which is like not suitable for her age. But she's very brave. Even she's just a child. When she knows she needs to finish 3 tasks to go back to her work, she's very brave to finish her task by herself. Even she meets many some don't know the name, the creatures and something else. The girl at her age may be cared by their families and maybe they just like the princess at home. But Ophelia is different because she needs to do something to protect her family, such as protect her brother. You can see that from the movie, like she refused to give her brother to the fawn, which the fawn wants to use his blood. So from the above reason, I thought Ophelia does not behave in a way.
Alright, so that was some interesting interviews we had for today. I'm Shitati but people call me Bob. And we'll see you next week on the Asian Talk Show.